Hello, so we're on this again. I mean, what else are we up to here if not this? How are you? Thank you for stopping by today. I truly mean this. You're the reason I'm doing this. So, if there is no you, there is no this. So, I appreciate you, Novel in Bits listener. Thank you. I am Chizuba Katie, your host and your friend. And I'm here to tell you fun fiction stories like we're hanging out. So, we are continuing on Chen and Blake's story. We talked about Tina was from a poor family, Blake is from a wealthy home. I mean, it's all there in the description. So, and then they trade lives, and then they're getting these eye-opening moments, but it doesn't mean their lives automatically getting better. So, we're on this journey with them to see how they are changing and what that represents to us and what lessons we can take from it. Okay, that's it. Brief recap. Let's move on. So at this point where we are in the story, Tina and Blake went over to Tina's house for the weekend and they drove a rented car. They didn't want to make it look like Blake was rich or that Tina was making more money or her mother would just carry the money to support one immigration course again. Do you understand? So why Tina and her mom went to the court hearing on a Saturday or so, Blake and Tina's dad were home watching news, and he got to really learn a few things about Tina's family and Tina's parents from not Tina's perspective, because from Tina's perspective, oh, they're poor, oh, her mom didn't do things right, da 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 da. But from Blake's perspective, he's saying that Tina's dad might be quiet, might seem mousy compared to his own loud dad, Adam. But the man is this person who is deeply grateful, even for his bad leg. And that's a lot of lesson to us. So if you don't know about this, please listen to the episode before this to start the story with us. So now, after the court hearing, Tina finally blew up. She's been all good and paying all the bills before now, but she then blew up when her mom commented that, oh my God, Tina, you're too serious. You don't have any fun. Tina told her mom the truth about how I work all the time to pay the family's bills because you don't, Mom. And it bothers me. So Tina's mom was like, you did not tell me this. I did not know. Do you understand? Also, Tina thought, and Tina's mom was like, I just thought you wanted to help. That I didn't know you're going through all this. And this is so significant because sometimes we are killing ourselves over, I'm trying to give this person this life, but they don't know the stress I'm going through. Did they ask you to give them that life? Do they know what you're going through? Have you mentioned it before? You should. Let people in whatever's up with you. Really do. Okay? So, and then her mom was like, I never asked you to do those things. After their fight, Tina's mom became cold and distant. Not like, the normal when your mother is vexing for you. Asian moms and African moms are quite similar. Do you understand? This whole, when you be like, okay, mommy, let me help with this. But like, no, leave it, can't rest. No, don't worry, I can do it. That kind of attitude, that's what her mom that was giving her. And then Tina found herself preferring when her mom embarrassed her because she always like, my mom is so embarrassing. She's and she's like, wishing for that time now. Like, do you understand? So since the weekend was over, the next day, Tina returned with Blake to school. She wanted to stop so they would eat. Because she's like, I know my mom's cooking. My mom didn't really feel. He was like, no, your mom fed me well. And then in her memory, she's like, she just recalled he barely eats most of the things. And then her dad also mentioned he ran 2 hours on Friday while they were out at the court hearing. So that's when he admitted he had a problem, that he couldn't eat more. And he thought he was stupid for having this problem. He was really beating himself up about it. That day, they opened up to each other in a way they hadn't done before. And they saw just how much they had in common. The rawness of their emotions overcame their self-control. And they made passionate love together all night long. It's wise to say these things as though I'm reading speech, so that it's not going to have too much effect. Oh my God. When I try not to embarrass myself, it's not working out so well. So anyhow, they smooched and did things. So moving on. They started dating after that night, but it was bittersweet since they had a deal earlier that any day he took over Cyclone, they would end things. That day was 2 weeks away. So Tina was able to convince Blake to get help. He quit working for Jen and got a therapist, a nutritionist, and a food diary. So, started really helping himself. Meanwhile, Tina's relationship with her mom was still not good. And her mom changed the password of the utilities website, the website that Tina used to log on to see what bills her family had. So she changed the password so that Tina wouldn't log in and pay the family's bills anymore. So Blake confessed to Tina why he was afraid of taking over from his dad, because he didn't want to live like his dad too early. And when his dad announced, "Oh, you're taking over the company on the launch day," that thing has been haunting Blake. So he just felt he wasn't as strong as his dad and Peter, the CFO who died. Peter started working at 28 and died of a heart attack at 45. He believed he would be killing himself slowly if he took over from his dad. So his fear comes from a belief that if I take my father's position, I'm going to die early. I'm not as strong as they are. So Tina took charge of the situation and did what he couldn't. Do you know what she did? She arranged a meeting for him with Adam so that Blake could come clean about his fears. Tina went with Blake to meet his dad at his dad's house. Adam's reaction when Blake admitted he had an eating problem and was scared was unexpected. I mean, Adam is this tough man. Oh, you just gotta face it, bullhead. Take it by the horn, face it like a man kind of person. So you'd expect that he'd be disappointed in his son for having the kind of disorder he has. But instead, Adam just felt horrible for not realizing sooner that his son needed him, and he choked back tears. It was the second time Blake was seeing his dad cry. The first time was when the night Adam died, the night Peter died, the CFO, like the father's best friend, and the person was like a dad to Blake. That was the first time he saw his dad crying, and it felt horrifying. And this was the second time when Adam was like, "I'm so sorry. I should have taken care better. I should have taken better care of you." So Adam is really a good dad. He's a good person to his son. So Adam promised to take care of everything. He thanked Tina for helping his son. The lunch was less than 24 hours away at this time. After dinner, desserts, and small talk, Blake took Tina to see the twinkling lights and told her an interesting story. Like, the story was meant to encourage her that, a story about stars and, how they already had a destiny. This kind of thing, of all those kind of destiny kind of stories where before something came to be, they've already said this is your destiny. They've already prophesied it and it's going to happen. So anything else you are doing, you shall know this is your end and your destruction. So that's the kind of story he told her. So it was bittersweet, and how there's two people who fell in love in the stars or something, and now are waiting the destiny, which is that one will be consumed by the other. One kind, so somehow sad story. So, but there was a lesson there. He told her those stories to make her see that they didn't have to be a story written in the stars. That these guys have a sad story, right? But we can write our own story. We're not these people that they created and they spoke a word over us that is set in stone. We can make our own story, and that's what matters. So love for each other filled them up as they talked about this, and they kissed until they snuck back into the house and made love as if it was the last time, which I'm not spoiling anything. I'm still going to spoil it in a few minutes, so stick around. They laid in each other's arms afterwards, and Blake said they had to renegotiate. He didn't want things between them to end, but Tina was scared because she didn't like taking risk, and he was the biggest risk there was. I mean, what other biggest risk is there than this poor girl dating a billionaire? In the middle of that conversation, Blake felt something was wrong, like he heard something. He's like, "I need to go check on my dad." And he and Tina dressed up and went downstairs to check. Adam was lying on the floor of the kitchen. He looked pale. There was beads of sweat popping out on his forehead. He appeared as if he was having a heart attack. Tina called his doctor and asked a question. So after she had gotten off the phone with the doctor, she now turned to the man and was like, and she asked this question in a shaky voice, like, "How long have you been doing cocaine?" Dun 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 dun. So Blake couldn't believe it. The truth came out that he'd been doing cocaine since he turned 40, so that he could keep up with his 90 hours work week. So at this point, do you want to be a billionaire who has a 90 hours work week? And then when you turn 40, you have to turn to cocaine to keep up that level of productivity. Do you want to be that kind of billionaire? Now, it's you that should answer it for yourself. So the late CFO Peter was in on it and did it too. There were materials with side effect that killed Peter. So this thing that he's going through is not an actual heart attack, it's an arrhythmias that come from as a side effect of using cocaine. So Adam never wanted Blake to find out. He couldn't live with himself because of the guilt. Because even the Adam, like, Blake had always thought, my dad is so strong. I can't rule the company because if I do, I'll die earlier. So now he's finding out that it was not the stress of work that killed Peter, but rather his cocaine usage. Do you understand? So now, even his own dad that he was looking at, oh, my dad is so strong. The dad had been feeling so guilty. That's why he wanted to retire early and give what's his name, Blake the company. So he didn't want his son avoiding him too once he learned this truth. That's why he didn't even tell Blake the whole truth. So Adam's doctor arrived. Blake cleaned up the cocaine, found other starches, threw them into a duffel bag that he left in the back seat of his car. Now, if you're seeing the title of this podcast, you know that it's Tina that is going to be implicated for that cocaine. So you watch and see how it happened. He intended to dispose of them. That's why he kept them there. So they called the ambulance, which took Adam to the hospital. Now Blake blamed himself for not recognizing his father needed him. You know how the father was initially blaming himself of, oh, I should have known my son needed me. It was now the son's turn, but like, oh, I should have known my father needed me. So it's a sweet moment. They actually care for each other. So he managed to pack his father's things into a bag to take to the hospital. Tina met him downstairs. She packed his bag. She had already packed his bag on her. She was with them downstairs. So they put everything in the car and she drove them to the hospital. On the way, Blake made a call to get things under control for the lunch because it was like 1 a.m. already. So he now called like, hey, my dad had a heart attack. Hey, things are like this. So you guys take control on that end. So Blake didn't feel anymore that his dad's shoes were impossible to fill. Do you understand? At that point, they're driving him to your daddy is in this position of life and death, but he's also at the same time having this thing done on him that I can actually feel my dad's shoes. It's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. He felt strong because he knew the truth that it wasn't Cyclone that killed Peter. This was a battle he could win, and the knowledge of that made him feel lighter. The fact that, oh, I can actually handle this. Oh, I can actually be a CEO. I can actually, do this. I'm strong. I'm strong. I'm not going to die if I take on my dad's position. And maybe there is also a better way of doing it than he did it. And I don't have to work 90 hours having 90 hours work week. Do you understand? So, once they arrived at the hospital, Blake begged Tina to stay with him or break up with him right there. So, that thing of, he knew what she was doing. That, oh, she wants to be supportive because his dad just had this thing happen to him. A lot of things are going on and she wants to be the supportive girlfriend for a couple of days before she ends things with him. Do you understand? And he knew that. So he was like, so as I just packing there in the hospital, he's like, you have a decision now. You either stay with me and you're staying with me for life, like we're doing this, or break up with me right now, like you've always intended to. I mean, the relationship was meant to end that day anyway. So Tina was mute and she was in agony. Like, she couldn't answer. So try not to push the thing because Blake, our guy, is not this guy who forces people, right? Understanding, Blake just took his bag and left. So Tina got on the freeway. Like, as he left, with his own bag, leaving that cocaine bag behind, Tina was just so distraught. She got on the freeway. Like, that Tesla, she has never driven past 40 miles and she was speeding. Her hands were shaking. She was crying and she was driving. And she forced herself to go past 40 miles. She thought it was... Now, she was not thinking... some moments in movies when someone is driving and then they're just having this moments of introspection on their relationship. So she was not thinking, that was one thing to date him in private, but then another thing to do so in public. Because they've dated 2 weeks in private right now. Her mother was a Walmart baker and her father was, a janitor. She didn't know how to be with him. I mean, he's this wealthy guy. He had all this media training, knew about SEC regulations, had private deals with his dad, bumped from corporate sensitivity training. All those fancy things she didn't even know existed until she swapped with him. And so in her mind, she's like, I don't think I can be with this guy, right? He's so wealthy. He's so out of my league and everything. She didn't want to love Blake because it just wasn't safe. She's not a risk taker like that. So she went faster and faster, and she was driving at 130 miles an hour. Next thing, the police were pulling her over, and next thing, they were bringing a drug dog that sniffed out the cocaine in the duffel bag that Blake left in the back seat. So Tina was arrested, and she was allowed to have one phone call. One phone call. She called her mom. And the moment her mom learned she was arrested, she switched to Mandarin from English and gave her instructions on what to do. And she, that's the part when she told her, see, don't say anything important. Just talk to me in Mandarin. So tell me about your day. What happened? Her mother was just gisting her, calmed her down. I was like, don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you. I'll be there as soon as I can. I was like, this woman is badass. So Blake was in the middle of talking to Adam, who was feeling much better about the restructuring of the corporation to cut back work on them. Like, see, they're already setting plans in motion so that Blake does not get to have that nightmare of 90 hours work week when news arrived that Blake's car was with the police. So Tina's mom arrived at the station. They made up, and obviously that advanced things bring people closer. So they made up, and Tina was able to confide in her about why she was always so careful. It had to do with memories as a little girl from China. Like when she was a girl, her mom told her, be quiet, just don't say anything. Because apparently little Tina had said something that was the reason that led to why her father got arrested in the first place. So her mom told her to be quiet, which is funny because her mom is one of the loudest people. Her mom was like, yeah, that was because of that situation, right? Because when her mom came to the US, her mom promised herself that I was so quiet in China that the moment I left there and came to the US, I was like, I am never not going to say anything on my mind. I'm going to be the loudest person. And her mom is literally very loud, Mrs. Chen. So right on time, an officer came and undid Tina's cuffs, announcing she was free to go. So she met Blake on her way out. He traded. You know that trade me? He traded her place in prison. So the only thing he asked to do was watch. The only thing he asked her to do was just watch the lunch, which was going to start in 12 minutes. You understand? She got all these fancy gadgets and everything from Blake too. So Tina's mom had questions because she didn't know Blake was rich. But Tina's dad knew. Because that time they were even watching TV at his house. At the point he just went, I was like, so does Tina know your dad is a billionaire? Does Tina know who you are? I like Mr. Chen, but Mrs. Chen did not know. Tina's mom didn't know. So she had questions for her daughter because she's like, so Blake is rich. I didn't know Blake was rich. So Tina quickly called her up, and then they found a good service area to pass so that Tina could tune into the lunch. It was handled by David Yu, the chief product engineer. Despite all the mishaps that happened recently, the launch was phenomenal, and over 100 million people tuned in to watch. So on the live call, Adam and Blake revealed the actual truth about his breakup with Tina, the heart attack, cocaine, Adam's use of cocaine, Tina in prison for 6 hours and more. Imagine you people are launching a product and you're revealing all of these facts about your life and your family. I mean, some people will be like, PR, no, we have to make everything look squeaky clean. But this family are literally selling their story, selling the tragedy with it. And honestly, people love things like that. Like, oh my gosh, such a wealthy successful family have this success too. And I feel that's one of the reasons why the Kardashians are so loved. Because they show their messy sides. I mean, I don't support it, but they show all of them. And people feel like, oh, they know them. They're coming along on this journey with them. They buy their products and all of those things and make them billionaires and all that. So Tina joined in and Adam welcomed her to the family. Like, she joined in the call because she had the watch too. It's actually a watch. And the writer came up with this watch. The actual name of the watch is Vemox. It has all the sci-fi details I don't want to get into. But Fernanda is actually watch. Project Fernanda is actually watch. And it's the writer came up with the idea before Apple launched his watch. Yeah, that was far back in 2015 or so. So it's now joined in with because she had her own, model like they gave her now to prepare for the launch stuff. And Adam welcomed her to the family, saying she fit right in. After the call, like, imagine Blake's dad told her that she's welcome, that you fit right into. Oh gosh, it's so sweet. So after the call, Tina's mom asked if Blake could pay for the gas money she spent to come. I was like, so Blake is rich. Interesting. So can he pay back the money I spent to come, like the gas money? I was like, this woman, trust her. I knew she was going to milk that family. So Tina laughed her heart out. Her mom was so consistent. She did not want her mom to know Blake was rich because she knew her mother would ask Blake for money. She would extract money from him one way or the other. And the one is already doing it straight up. Oh god. So Tina was like, don't stop with gas money. You don't know how rich people think. Make him fund a non-profit center for you. Like Tina was now encouraging her, don't worry. My boyfriend can afford it. Make him fund the entire thing. So I really like this change in her. And yeah. So her mom's comeback was hilarious. So all was good in her world. Well, almost. Just, at this point, he was not her boyfriend. They've broken up, but somehow they're still not officially broken clean. You get? It's not even been up for 24 hours yet. So Cyclone released a press statement that detailed Adam's cocaine situation in clarity, as well as other things related to the company. So it's impressive that Cyclone's stock was skyrocketing in the midst of what was supposed to be bad press. That night at 9:15 p.m., not even up 24 hours since the whole thing started, Blake sent Tina a message and asked to talk. So she asked to see him in person, and when she did, she threw herself into his arms and kissed him like, oh my goodness, like I need air. And they didn't know what came next, but they decided, that thing he was asking her to do the night before, let them write their own script. They didn't have to be set in stone or defined by anything. They would be fine as long as they were together. So yay, our favorite people made up. And this is part of a series, and according to the writer, there's Hold Me, and you'll see more of them in other books of the series. I'm not sure I'm not very good at reading series. That's the truth. I'm really not. I like to read a story and let it be. It's whenever I continue with a series, it's accidental. I'm more of a standalone kind of girl, standalone reading story. But in rare cases, I have read series. Like there's another story I would start sharing with you soon. The author likes twins, so most often you see a lot of twins characters in her books, and each of the twins have their own romantic stories. So I'll start sharing that one soon. I'll start with her standalone book. If you like it, whether I like it or not, I know you like it because I'm the one telling you, so you like it. Then I'll share the other books of the director. And this is the end of today's Earn. Please let me know if you enjoyed this. I really want to hear from you. So thank you for staying with me to the end. Bye. Until next week.